I'm going to show you how to create a no-code full-stack voice assistant dashboard using VO, n8n, and Supabase. We are going to build a comprehensive system that will give us the ability to receive incoming calls, monitor our AI voice assistant in real time, view detailed call analytics, and track performance metrics. This has been a hugely popular request where people have been wondering how I connect Supabase to the front end that I build for my clients. Now, the backend infrastructure will be handled by n8n using our AI workflows, and all the call logs, the transcripts, and analytics will be stored in our Supabase dashboard. Now, here's the thing. You can do this for really any use case, not just voice agents. You can adapt this exact same architecture for chatbots or invoice analytics, email analytics, lead management system, and so much more. This is the difference between selling $2,000 automations and $20,000 systems to clients. This is going to be a no-code solution with a complete step-by-step tutorial, making it as easy for you guys as possible. So make sure you guys stick around to the end because you will know how to connect your VO front end to your n8n backend and store all of your call data, all the interactions, transcripts, and analytics in Supabase. And I'll also be showing you guys how you can get all the templates that I'll be using within this video. So let's get started. Here, like always, we have our Excala drop board. Now this is just going to be one of the use cases. There's going to be so many different ones that you can show off. But here is the structure of what's going on and the different tools you're going to be using. So we have our voice assistant here. We're going to be using Vapi. So what we want to do is set up to answer inbound calls. And how we're going to use this, as I just mentioned, we are using Vapi. So Vapi is going to be used for essentially just creating voice assistants and handling inbound calls for us. From there, we're going to take Vapi and we're going to store everything into n8n. n8n is going to be our backend. Beyond that, n8n is going to be used for getting Vapi calls and transcripts and storing the data into Supabase from there. So you could see Supabase will be the backend database. If you're not familiar with Supabase, it's just a way for us to store all of our data, like some sort of storage or memory unit. And like I mentioned, it is used for storing every single interaction, like messages, transcripts, recordings, and so on. Lastly, we have VO. I'm not sure if it's VO or V0. I've been calling it VO. And this is going to be our front end builder. So this is used for creating the website or a dashboard and setting up Supabase and also connecting Supabase to a front end. So as you guys can see right here, this is just an example of one system that we are using for our clients. So I'm going to go ahead and log into our account, and then we're going to be able to see all the internal data that we are handling. So this is just all dummy data. So we could go back to the all time actually. We can see there's different messages sent, messages received, follow-up sent, and all this stuff. So we can customize this as much as we would like. So right here, you can see that we can listen to the calls, you can see some of the recent messages, or we can go into the context section. But then again, we could go back into the dashboard and you guys can see all this stuff. But in any case, this is really what we are going to be building out. So if we come back to our board, we are going to be starting off with building out our phone assistant. So we're going to be using Vapi for this. So let's start there. Vapi, what we have done is we created an inbound agent, as you can see right here, Hydra inbound. So what you would want to do is go ahead and go into Vapi, and keep in mind, you don't have to use Vapi as the voice assistant builder. You can be using Retail, you can use Ultravox, 11 Labs, Telnix. There's so many different options that you can use. But in any case, go ahead and create your new assistant. And for sake of time, we're just going to explore what we already have built out. Now we're creating an assistant for internal use. So anytime somebody calls our number, this assistant is then going to answer. So you can see one of the first messages right here. If I close off some of this stuff and expand it. Sales and AI, this is Ellie. How can I help you? That's going to be the first message. So we're just defining what we want to happen. Then in this prompt section right here, this is where we're going to define all these specific instructions and how we want this agent to essentially be handling everything, talking to people, how it should be responding. So let's open this up. And I'm not going to cover everything within here, but if you do want to get access to this entire prompt, I will have it linked down below in my free community. So in the beginning, what we are saying is we're giving it the current date and the time. And how we do this is we provide it with double curly brackets and saying now. It's important to provide your agents with time in case you want to set up appointments, or if somebody just wants to ask like, what availability do you have like 2 days from now, or really anything regarding that context. So we say you have access to the sales and services and FAQs knowledge base. Use this information to answer questions about services, industries, capabilities, etc. Answer naturally without mentioning that you are checking files. Okay, then we get into all of our sequences right here. So if you have anything that's going to get pretty expansive, I would recommend using Vapi workflows as opposed to doing anything like this where we're going to keep it relatively brief. But we have about, let's see, maybe 12, we have 13 different points. So all the way from closing and how it should be responding and interacting with people when we get to that closing part, and how to end calls, all the way from opening and greetings. So for the opening greeting, we start off saying, "Hi there, this is Ellie from Sales Done, Nick's AI assistant. How can I help you today?" And then we give it some conditions. So if they respond with this, then proceed to this part. If they respond with that, then proceeds to this other part. So we're being very specific, and I have been preaching this from the rooftops. Be very specific in your prompts. You have to give very granular instructions to all of your agents if you want them to do everything properly. So you can use different agents or LLMs to assist you in creating prompts, but I also have a prompt guide that you can use to align yourself with and reference, once again, available in my free community. So we're then going into the demo explanation. So trying to get people to book a call. So I'm not gonna go too much into this. Ultimately, it's going to be responding to people and entering our calls and encouraging people to book the call. So there's going to be a few different options. Either they set up an appointment or consultation with me, or they don't. So let's go ahead and cancel this. And from there, you can see we are providing this with a file. And this file is going to be our knowledge base. So in this knowledge base, we are just saying different things like FAQs, information about our company, and how you could actually include this into your Vapi assistant is if you go into files and you go to down to the bottom, add a new file, you can add a Google Doc and import your knowledge base so that your agent has information about your company or whatever else. Down below, we're just going to hook up a voice. Vapi actually provides very great voices. So if you choose Vapi, Spencer and what was the other one? Cole is a very realistic sounding voice. If you don't want to use Vapi, if you don't like those voices, go with 11 Labs. It's another great alternative. Besides that, there's so many different options that you can choose from. So don't spend too much time on it, but let's move down. And the only other thing that we are going to be doing within here is inputting the server settings URL. So this is going to be interacting with n8n. So every time a call finishes, it's going to be sending that information into n8n. So that's how these two pieces are going to be talking. But again, we'll dive into n8n in a little bit and how that all works. Before we continue in showing you guys what it actually sounds like and how it's going to send everything into n8n, the last thing we are going to do is we're going to make sure that we have our phone number hooked up. So if we go into the phone number section and down here, all we're going to do, make sure you are linking up your number. If you don't know how to connect your number, just go to create phone number. Ideally, you already have a Twilio number, or you can get a free Vapi number from right here. You could also use Telnix, Vonage, or SIP trunk, or SIP trunking. So there's a lot of different options. So I'll just import your Twilio from here, input the number that you buy. It's about $1 for like all US numbers. Get your account SID and your auth token. How you can actually get that is if you go into Twilio and then just go into your account dashboard, and in the settings, you will be able to grab that information and input it into here. So once you finish that up, we're just going to assign our assistant. So we want to choose the assistant that we just made, which is the Hydra Inbound US/California copy. So make sure to select that. Maybe you want to back out just to make sure that it's actually saving, and refresh it. Make sure that everything is connected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my phone and I am going to give this number a call.
Hi there, this is Ellie from Sales Done AI Customer Support. How can I help you today?
Hey Ellie, what services do you guys provide and how can you help my marketing company?
We provide a range of services, including sales automation, lead generation, and marketing analytics. To better understand how we can help your marketing company, could you tell me a bit more about what you're looking for? What specific challenges are you facing, and how do you think our services could help address them?
Okay, never mind. That's all I needed to do here, actually. Thanks, bye. Okay, so right there, it was just going to qualify me and act like a receptionist. And eventually, if it deemed that I was qualified, it was going to set up an appointment with me. So When we do check our transcript later, it's going to say that we did not book a call, and it'll provide us with the reasoning. Now, what we want to do is we want to go into n8n and just check that it was actually collecting all that data properly. Because if you remember, we had a webhook or a server URL that we were inputting into our assistant, which was going to allow n8n to connect with Vapi. So as you can see right here, we have this webhook right here. And if we go to our executions, we should see that, I believe that this is it, the most recent execution. So let's go ahead and copy this to the editor. And we're going to be using this as our data. So once again, how we actually did that is we just created a webhook, and we're going to use a production URL. So every time a call finishes within Vapi, every time somebody calls in and then it ends, it is going to grab that information and store this into n8n. So we will just make sure we're wanting to use the production URL, copy this, make sure your workflow is turned on, and then we're going to go back into our assistant. So let's find that. I believe it was Hydra outbound or inbound right here. And then we're going to scroll down. And if you go into the messaging, we're going to input that right in this setting right here. So make sure it's to publish up at the top right for everything to save. And also make sure it should be default sets to all these things, but end of call report and transcript is actually enabled. Now, once we set that up, the only thing to do from there is storing everything into Supabase and then setting up the front end. So now if we open up this webhook inside of n8n, if we scroll down far enough, we should be able to find a transcript. So you can see right here, like sales down, this is Ellie, how can I help you? It actually looks like this is a previous transcript, but that's all right. We could still use this. So it says, hi, it looks like you mentioned Lee. Just to clarify, this is Ellie from sales. And then it appears that they hung up from there. So what we want to do is we just want to store this transcript and the user straight into Supabase, our database. So we are going to be using VO to help us set all this up. And before we continue anything with n8n, let's go ahead and get into that first. So the first thing that we're going to do is come into vo.dev. I'll have a link down below in the description for this. And what we're going to type in is we're going to grab my prompt from right here. And I will have this linked in my community, my free community down below in the description. And we're going to paste this into VO right here. And it should be able to handle just about everything for us. But let me go ahead and read through what this is actually doing. So we want VO to create things in Supabase for us. So we're having it set up the entire database. So it's going to be pretty much hands off. We're going to say create the users table. I want you to create transcript table and set up row level security policies so that users can only access their own data. If you log in with one account, you're not going to be able to see another one. I want you to create indexes on users' email, user stage, and so on. I want you to authenticate Supabase integrations with email verification required. So this is just basically asking VO to set up a Supabase instance where it's going to allow us to sign up for accounts and log in with particular accounts, setting up, row level security and multi authentications. If we go back down, we're also asking it to set up a front end dashboard, which is going to be laying out an analytics dashboard showing key metrics, so like total calls, today's calls, a line chart showing daily call volume for the last 30 days, and so on. So you can customize this however you would like, play around with it, but this is just going to be the default that we're going to reference. I also want you to include the full transcript in a scrollable area, an audio player component with play and pause functionality with proper state management. So if we come back into here, like that was this that I was referring to. So being able to play the different phone calls and everything and listen to them. Let's go back into VO or the Google Docs. And yeah, everything is pretty technical, so we're not going to dive into this too much. And it's all just very nuanced and things that you are likely to want to change yourself, but it's going to be a great starting point and you'll be able to tweak from there once you actually implement this. So we're just going to run, and as you can see, it's going to write all of the code for us. It says VO is thinking. It doesn't take too long, maybe a couple minutes. So right now it's just thinking through everything. It's setting up the database, the authentication system, and now it's going to write all of the code. for us. So I will come back to you guys in a couple of minutes once it is actually finished writing the code. By the way, while we are waiting for this to actually generate, I just wanted to mention that if you guys are interested in videos like this, also learning how to build different AI automations and how to actually get clients and sell these systems to different business owners, or even if you are a business owner, then I upload at least twice a week going over different things like this and trying to keep you guys within this AI loop. So make sure to subscribe, and also it really helps me out if you like and comment in the video. But besides that, let's get right into it. Okay, so it actually paused in the code generation and saying this generation uses Supabase. So from here, we just obviously want to connect our Supabase. We probably should have done it in the first place, but it says complete the steps and chat to ensure the generation works correctly. So we're going to close this out, and it's probably going to ask particular things. So it's to create or first install Supabase and create users table. And we're just going to come to the left and we're going to create all of this stuff. So it's going to create the project for us. So we won't really have to do anything. It's going to handle it, set everything up within Supabase. As you can see within Supabase, I have one plan or one project within here right now on this free plan. By the way, I believe you could get 2 projects for free before it starts making you pay. And we are going to use the free plan. We'll call this YouTube demo, and let's go ahead and create this. So it's going to process and set everything up. So in a couple minutes or maybe a minute, it's going to generate within Supabase. So you can see, created successfully. Let's click on done. It should redirect us. We can refresh. We now have the YouTube demo inside, and we don't have, or we shouldn't have anything inside the tables because we haven't done anything thus far, obviously. So let's get to setting this part up. We'll go back into Supabase. So it created that first step for us. Now it's going to ask us to run the second step, which is creating users table. So we want to, every time a call comes in, we want to store a new user. Then we want to create a transcripts table, store all of the transcripts within there. We then want to set up row level security policies, only allowing certain users to see their own data. Seed data samples. So this is just going to be some dummy data that we will fill in. Creating stage functions. Now this is just statuses and different outcomes of a call, like if a call was booked or if it wasn't booked. Stage column migration. Not exactly sure what that is. I believe that has something to do with the outputs and the results as well. Making emails optional. Adding a recording column. So being able to input the audio and the recordings of any interaction and phone call. Creating recording helper function, don't know what that is exactly, and creating authorization triggers. Also not exactly sure what that is in particular, but we're going to apply all of this, and let's see what happens within Supabase. If we refresh, you can already see that it populated some things right there. We have the users. We have 2 different examples, John Doe and Jane Smith. So it says active, it should be saying something like booked call, didn't book call. We could change that later. We actually do not need this avatar URL. We're going to delete this, and everything else we can leave for now. So we have the IDs right here. These are just going to be the unique identifiers that we will use to associate the transcripts and everything. This title, probably don't need this within the transcripts, but you can see the content. So like, hi, this is John calling from ABC Corp. I wanted to discuss our new product offering and seeing if there might be a good fit for your organization. Okay, so everything is now set up within Supabase. So it's going to write the SQL for you. It's going to handle everything. We don't need these columns on the right over here. So perhaps it went a little bit overkill. So feel free to tweak things yourself. You're going to eventually have to tweak things yourself and make it, fitting for your own company. But now what we're just going to say is, I now need you to create a front end. It should have done this already, but I guess it might have gotten confused. Let's see here, or maybe it has done it. Key features, analytics dashboard with metric cards. So if we go to preview, maybe we can see it then. Okay, well, it's taking too long to load. So I'm just going to say, I am having issues with the front end dashboard. If you haven't created it already, please create it. I don't know why I'm saying please to AI. Let's type this in, and now it's going to address our issue. It's literally just iterating each and every single time that you're having an issue. It can be a little bit tedious, but it beats having to learn how to code and program this yourself. Okay, so it just finished up, and as you can see, key changes moved, removed Supabase dependencies, so created a fully functional dashboard with mock data that demonstrates all features, added mock data, so realistic call transcripts of various source types and everything. So it actually had to delete the Supabase interaction, but we'll add that in a minute. But as you can see, we now have the front end dashboard. So let's make sure. We could see recent calls. So let's go into Supabase. I believe that it removed everything. So we have 4 different interactions. How many users do we have? We have 2 different users and we have 4 calls. So ABC core, I think everything actually is connected. Team meeting, client consultation, customer support. Let's go back into here. So there's 5 and there should only be 4. So I believe this is just mock data. So now we'll just want to actually connect everything into this front-end dashboard. So now what we're just going to say is we want to connect Supabase into VO. So what we will say directly is, I now need you to work on not using mock data and to show all this data from Supabase instead and have that be the representation of what is showing. Okay, so it's just going to be some iterations and everything, but before this finishes generating and while it's generating, I want to show you guys how we're actually going to be storing this data into Supabase from n8n. It's actually a very simple process and there's not a whole lot to build, and it can get a lot more complicated. Like if you've been watching any of my previous videos, you've seen that we've created full end-to-end systems. So like right here, we have an outbound system where it's going to call people as, and it's going to store all this data into Supabase. So it's going to store everything into our CRM, but then into Supabase where it's going to show stuff like this. This is just one example that I'm pulling from the hat, but you know, if they book a call, we'll go down this route. If they don't book a call, we will go down this route and everything. But let's actually close this out. So there's so many different things that you can do with this. You could create chatbots, but with this, we're just going to stick with the inbound voice assistant. So what we're doing is we're using a code block, and this is going to just combine the transcript. So we're saying, hey, I need you to look at this long list of messages and combine them into one script. And then what we get is something that looks like this combined content, where it has content from the user and also the AI. If we move on, we're then going to use an LLM to analyze the sentiment. So did they book a call? Did they not book a call? Or was the call forwarded? So in this example, we didn't book a call because, you know, clearly we just hung up. There wasn't anything else on the call. So in this example, we're going to create a row, and this is going to add the user into Supabase, and then we're also going to add the transcript. So how we actually want to update Supabase and connect to Supabase, I should be saying, is if you go into your settings, you're going to edit right up here. You're going to grab this URL from, come into here. We will go into our project settings, and forgive me if I am a little bit lost because there is a lot of different options. So I believe it would be within, is it data API? Yeah. So project URL, we're just going to go to data API, grab this, paste it into this line up at the top. And now we need our service role secret. So this is where we're going to get it from our API, which we just, API keys. And if you go to the service role, reveal this, copy, and then throw it into n8n, and then you'll be able to find your table. So we're gonna close that out, and maybe we might have to refresh it, but if we open this up, we should just see users and transcripts as the table. Might have to delete it, but let's check. Users and transcripts, I believe this is right. This is our proper database and everything. And we are then going to store the ID. So this is going to be the unique identifier, and we're going to store the stage. So the stage is going to be didn't book consultation. So let's go ahead and execute this, and let's check within Supabase if this is relaying everything properly. So it says bad request, check your parameters, null in the full name. So we have to include the full name. So maybe in Supabase, we can add as a requirement that it's not always needed for a full name, because sometimes on these calls, you're not always going to get a full name. So it's just about iterating and tweaking things as you are building. So there's not going to be a perfect template that you can just copy. I will give you some of the templates that you can use to make it easy on yourself and building this out as quick as possible, but it's only going to be a foundational piece that you should be building off of. So to add the full name, we'll just put something random in. We'll go to full name, and we can just do grab something within here. Let's grab another, I don't know, we just grab this random message right here. It's not going to matter. Or we could just say something like Nick. We'll do that. We'll execute and we should be good now. Maybe we have to include something else. So it looks like we have to include users stage check. So let's actually delete this because this is from an older table. So let's do a brand new one. We'll do create a row and make sure that we're using the right one. Go to users and data to send. We will map out the ID. We will map out the full name as we apparently need it. And we will map out the stage. So the ID, we'll grab that from, where would it be? I believe all the way down to the bottom-ish, where we're trying to get the unique identifier of each call. Let's do, it wouldn't be the tools. We could do either assistant ID, which is going to be static and not changing every single time. Typically, what you would want to do is create a code node and have it, or use GPT to, or any other LLM to create a unique identifier for you. So every single time it runs, it's going to create a different ID. But for sake of this video, the ID and unique identifiers, we're just use it as like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The full name, we will do Nick, demo, and the stage, we will do did not book a consultation. So let's run this and we shouldn't get any errors now. So now we just can't input a user ID as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it has to be a lot longer than that. So we'll grab one of these numbers from right here. We'll try this one more time and we'll see how that goes for us. So where did that ID go? We'll try this. Or what might be better and what would actually work is if we use a different ID. So we'll grab one of these user IDs. Of course, we're going to have to delete it. So let's delete this row and add it from n8n now. So let's put this into the ID and now we should be good, hopefully. So now it's the user's stage check. So it violates a check constraint, which I'm not too sure what that means. So we're just going to have to be more specific in VO. So we're just going to say something like, I'm getting this error and I need you to make sure that I can input everything into the stages properly. So it can be a little bit tedious and frustrating dealing with this at times, but as I mentioned, like this is a much better alternative than learning how to program. Also, it's free. So we're going to say, I'm getting this error above. I'm just trying to enter did not book consultation into the stage. Make sure it's fixed. Obviously it's going to fix it anyways, but I'll come back to you guys in a couple minutes once this is finished. Okay, so it just finished generating. It says, I see the issue. The error is happening because did not book consultation is not one of the allowed values in the stage. So we just have to be a little bit more specific when we are prompting. So it fixed all of this for us. Let's go ahead and update it in Supabase and make sure that it would be good to go and allow us to add everything within there. So let's apply. And now let's try this again. Hopefully we don't have any more issues. Okay, so you can see that everything added successfully. So let's go and you can see that we have everything in here. It's being stored. And we will want to do the same thing for the transcript now. So let's pull this over. Something's got out of whack. Open this up and just do the same thing for the transcript. Let's make sure that we are updating this because this is an older table. Let's grab this, Supabase, and create a new row. We'll go to the transcripts table and put our transcript in there. We'll have to have a unique identifier. That's going to be the ID. So we'll use the same one that we did last time. We'll add another field. So this unique identifier, it's going to be how you associate one transcript with another and making sure that it's from one person or another one. We will need the content. This is going to be the actual transcript, and we will need the recording right here. So we could go to recording and search that recording URL. And this is just going to be, obviously, as it says, the recording URL. If we open this up, we can just listen to how the call went. And yeah, you can see right here, if I were to play it, it's just going to be the call transcript or the call audio and the content. So let's find the code. Let's grab that and throw this in here. Hopefully we don't have any issues here, but we might have to tweak something. So now it's the issue of relations or transcripts, I'm sorry. So let's just take a screenshot of this and we're just going to do the same exact thing and say, I'm now having this issue with the transcripts. make sure I'm allowed to store this stuff in Supabase. So again, it's just going to have to tweak some things within Supabase for us and make those adjustments so that we can actually input this data. The alternative is you can write some SQL and edit everything within there, or just manually find the issue. But this is going to be a much more hands-off replacement and alternative if you aren't technical at all, and actually allow you to get something up and running a lot quicker. Okay, that finally finished up, and it says it fixes this issue here. Let's go ahead and run everything once again. Like I mentioned, it is going to be a bit of a tedious process. Let's insert everything within here. I'm sure it is going to do just fine. So I'm not going to improve anything. And this last one. Okay, now let's try running this within here. Hopefully we don't have any issues. So now it says, please check your parameters. The user ID of relation transcripts violates not null constraint. So once again, if you have another issue like this, then we are going to provide this within VO once again and say, I'm now having this issue, fix it now. So I'll come back to you guys once it is finished with this. Hopefully we don't have to do this many more times. Okay, now that finished up, and we're just going to make sure to apply everything for us. And hopefully, again, this is going to be the last time that we will have to make any more changes inside of VO. Now we'll go back into n8n and we'll press execute step, fingers crossed. Amazing. So as you can see, everything actually finished this time. So let's go and check within Supabase and we should be fine. Let's make sure we know what's to be identifying for. So we'll grab this right here, go into Supabase, and wow, there's actually a lot of different things within here. So maybe it was inserting some of the things at the time and I wasn't aware. We could find within here, let's see, I believe it would be this right here. So this would be what we are looking for. So the ID, let's make sure that this is the proper ID, 5508, and let's go within n8n. Yeah, 550E8 is what we are looking for. So everything is now inserting into the Supabase properly. Now what we want to do is we just want to get this information into our front end and make sure that everything is hooked up properly. So what we're going to try to do now is just sign up for an account. We'll put in our name and our password. So we'll just do a random password and create an account. And it says account created successfully. Check your email for the confirmation link. So let me go ahead and verify that right now. Okay, so what we're just going to do now is I had VO just create a fake email account and password for us. So I'm going to enter this and enter in the password as well, because I don't want to have to go through signing up for an account, verifying everything. So we're just going to have Supabase add everything, or we're going to have VO add everything into Supabase for us. So it's going to create the user account and make sure that we are able to log in. But normally how you would actually go about creating accounts is you would go into your database, or I'm sorry, you would go into authentication, and then you would just create accounts through here. So you can see right here, I have my email and everything. And then I also have this demo from right here. So we're going to be using this demo right here. And then you can also use the SQL. So you can ask it for help in writing SQL to help you generate users and go about creating some sort of SOP and making sure that it is easy every single time. But let's go back into here and try logging in now. So it's saying invalid credentials. Let's try a different account. Okay, so now it is allowing us to actually log in. It's not fetching any of the profiles requested. So we are having issues with that. So we could just say fix with VO and see what it comes back with. All right, so it just fixed everything for us. And now you can see that we are actually logged in, but it's not showing any of the data because we don't have any new data under this new account that we are signing in. Because remember, we are using, essentially just multi-level authentication and row-level security, where you're only going to be able to see your own data. So if I were to add something under the email, Nick@reprise.ai, we're going to have to create another column where it's going to use a unique identifier and associate that with our emails. So every time there's a new email added to the system in the database, it's going to create a new ID as well. And every time you add something within n8n, it's going to, try to find your email and associate that with the right users to store everything within. But that is essentially how we're going to hook everything up. It's really just taking a lot of iterating within VO, and it's going to be a case-by-case basis. So there isn't a particular SOP, but I am giving you a foundation that you can start off from. So again, you can get that down below in the link in the description. But yeah, it's really just utilizing a prompt and just going back and forth with the system to create everything for you. So you will have to have a little bit of patience, but that's how you can create, amazing dashboards like this, where you can see all the information and list out and represent all the data from Supabase into your front end website or dashboard or anything like that. But if you guys have any questions, then feel free to join my community, DM me within there. We also have a paid community that you can check out where we're a little bit more involved and providing you with a lot more insights into systems like this. We have weekly office hours and all that stuff. So check that out if you are interested within it. But of course, I really hope you guys found some value in this video. It's something that you guys have been asking for a while. So I really wanted to get it out there for you. But of course, please like and subscribe. It really helps me. And I will see you guys in the next video.